Okay, so welcome back, everyone. I'm going to continue some of my information for you for MLA style and citation. I'm going to go through a few websites that may be helpful for you, and at the end, we're going to look at two types of citation creators, which are online sources, online websites that actually create the citation for you. But there's more to it, and we'll get to that in a moment. Um, the first website we'll take a quick look at is the MLA Style Center. This one I mentioned earlier in the Nearpod about MLA. It comes directly from MLA, the one that publishes the MLA, the actual style book. Um, so they do have a menu, and there are various things. Works cited page. There's what's new in the 8th edition, behind the style, formatting a research paper, sample papers in MLA. But let's just take a quick look at this works cited, a quick guide. It explains here what the core elements are. It explains what containers are, because that can be a little confusing. And it gives you some examples, and then it'll also show you, when you look at some of the practice templates, it will also show you how the citation looks at the end. It's not quite a citation maker, but it actually shows you how to put it together yourself. And once again, these elements always start with the author. If the author is listed with the period, title of source, period, title of container, comma. And then as you go down the list, different types of resources don't have every part of this, right? So like a book would not have a version, or would not have a number, but a journal entry would have like a volume number, right? Or maybe a magazine would have a volume number. So that's why these are sort of listed in terms of what's available to you, of how you list them. The other thing that I did want to take a quick look at is the sample paper on this website. Now, keep in mind, this is geared towards a college level paper. So this particular one we'll take a quick look at is from a literature course in a senior in college. So it's a lot more on the advanced level as far as how long it is and things like that. But the actual formatting is the same that we just saw previously. We have the student's first and last name, the professor or teacher name, the course name, the date. I know they do kind of show this format for date. Personally, I don't think it matters too much, if you do it that format where the day is there first and then the month and then the year. If it's reversed, like you put May 15th, 2016, I doubt any teachers would ever take any points off for that. We didn't really talk about that, but kind of besides the point. You have the title here that's centered, right? A specific title. There's no title page, of course. It just the actual paper starts right here. So you have the indentation for the paragraph. And a couple things I'll just point out really quickly are the in-text citations, which we'll learn about in a lot more detail of how to do them at a later time, but just to show you how they work in general and how they match up to the works cited page. The first one we see is just the number 2, and we're saying, hey, what does that mean? Just page 2 of what? Usually you will have the author's last name and then the page number, but because of the way the sentence is structured, we have the author's full name right in the sentence. According to Catherine Saba Green, and then there's a quote, we know that this is actually going to be the author of that source, right? With the last name of Green, so we don't need to relist it here. Just a tiny detail, but I just wanted to show you maybe another example here. You'll see there's quite a few here with different page numbers and things, and they all match up to works cited entries. Here's a more typical one that we see, last name, page number in parentheses. There's even no punctuation. It's just last name, page number, Copeland 132. So what we'll see is there'll be a Green on the works cited page, there'll be a Copeland on the works cited page, and anything else that you see here, like Tomalin, you'll see that as well. So we're going to skip all the way to the works cited page. Once again, this is a longer paper than what you'd write. You won't have endnotes or anything like that, but the works cited page is the very last page of your paper, of any paper. Keep it on a separate page. So even if your last paragraph ended up here, you want to have your works cited page on the very last page. And this is jumping ahead to when you'll be doing, research papers and things, but just to give you a big picture of what it looks like. Works cited is what's always going to be there. It's not called bibliography in MLA, it's called works cited. Capital W, capital C, it's centered, just like the title was centered. You have the works cited citation entries here, right? So you have Austin, I have no idea where that came from. You have Brophy, You have Copeland. Remember we saw the Copeland citation, and there it is again in the works cited list. Um, you have Green. Remember we saw Green with the page number 2. And the other thing you'll notice is that they're in alphabetical order. Austin, Brophy, Copeland. Kind of nice because it happens to be ABC right there. But pretty much, even if you have a shorter works cited page, you will have them in alphabetical order based on either their author's last name or the title if there were no authors for specific ones that you had. Um, and you'll also notice it's sort of reverse indented. Something we can work on later in more detail, but just to give you an overview of what it looks like and the purposes is that you have everything that you had in in-text citations as references back to your sources. You always have to give credit where credit is due, right? So this is a way, it's formatted a specific way, but the general purpose of this is so that all of your information that you used, you're giving credit for who discovered it or who said it or whose idea it was originally. And you're putting their ideas together into your paper, of course, in your own way, in your own special way, but you still have to give credit to where the original ideas came from. So that's the purpose of the in-text citations that match up to the works cited page. Okay, another website that you might want to check out, we probably won't go into too much detail, is that Purdue OWL online writing lab. It's an excellent website to look through. There's a lot here. So once you get into it more, you'll be able to check out anything. Like if you want to know how to format quotations, it will go over that. If you want to know what a sample works cited page looks like, it'll show you that. If you wanted to know how to cite a book, and you wanted to see it, how they put it together, they'll give you an example, right? They'll give you some examples here. So this is an excellent website that you'll want to check out when the time is right. And the last two things I wanted to show you really briefly are two citation makers. Now these are, let me go back to the beginning. These are citation creators. So there's a few of them out there. There's bibme.org, there's Citation Maker, and I have been in here kind of playing around with it to get some examples here. The one thing I'll say is that these citation makers, you don't necessarily need to have an account with them. I know that they will have advertisements on them. Even at some point, they will probably make you watch an advertisement that you can't continue on until you watch the advertisement. I kind of got stuck with that when I was trying to show you some examples earlier. But it's still something that you could use, and it's not too hard to use once you learn how to do them. So I've already watched their advertisement, so I should have access to it for 48 hours without as many interruptions. But anyway, it doesn't cost anything. It just does make you take a survey and watch an advertisement at some point. So let's pretend then that we have say you have 3 or 4 sources for whatever you're doing. And you already know, like the title, you'll know whether it's a book or a magazine, a newspaper, a website, a journal, film, or other. Let's just pretend then that you found a newspaper article, and I already did this one, but I'll do it again. Something with volcanoes. Of course, you'd have the actual title. You can fill in the actual title. I'll just search it to see. Whoops. Why is that doing that? I'll try something different. Let's try a brand new one. Not sure why it's doing that. There we go. Okay, let me start over. So you can do it by genre of what you have. You already have something. Let's say we were looking up a book on Jack London, or not looking up, I shouldn't say it. Let's just say you already had, say you were doing a paper on Jack London. Let's just pretend. And you actually would already have had the title. I'll just put it in basically there and choose something randomly. But you will put in probably the title or the author. And then you'll have to select to make sure that you have the right one. Let's just pretend that we were having, I'll just pretend it was this one. Of course, you won't be pretending anything. You'll already have your sources, so you'll know what to type in. But it does make you double check to say, hey, this is what we found. Is this the correct book and title, publisher? So you double check everything and make sure That's the right book. It looks like the right one. It says, we may not have found all the information we need to create the citation. Please use the next page to fill in any empty fields. So the next step is to sort of look over what they found to make sure it matches your source. So this is kind of important to make sure you have the right selected version. So if you're citing the whole book, or if you're citing a chapter, you'd have to put chapter 1 or something like that. The author, Jack London, or contributor, Jack London, the author, Arthur Calderman. Source title, that would be the actual title, Jack London, the publisher, when it was published. And if it looks good, and I know it depends on the type of what you're using, magazine, newspaper, website, they're going to ask you for different information. But if it looks good, you just hit create citation. And voila, it gives you the citation right there. And there is a copy and paste button that you can use, and I would suggest using that. And it says press Control-C to copy the selected text to your clipboard. So you'd have to do that if your computer prompts you to do that. And it would save it. It will copy it to your clipboard. You'll press Command and V, or Control. Actually, it should be Control V for most of us that have Windows, to paste. So you can also download your bibliography fully formatted. Click here. I think when you're sort of messing around with these different features, it's going to ask you for an account. So you don't have to use that. It is nice if you're doing them all and you get it all formatted for you. But let's just say you're doing them one by one, and you can look to see. Now this is going to call it a bibliography, but of course yours is a works cited page when you put it all in there. These are the other ones that I had just sort of tried out, and this will give you all of your citations. So you just basically copy and paste them onto your works cited page. And what's nice is if you can keep the formatting, that's nice. So if you can't, you can still add that tab in there. But as it collects them, it does put them in alphabetical order as well. So that's basically how to use it. BibMe works the same way. I already had done some, so that's why it looks like that. But see, the citation in the end will be that way. And there's one that shows the indentation as well. So each source is going to come out looking different, but it is a way for you to just be able to plug in the information and copy and paste the citation. Okay, well, thank you very much. I hope this is helpful, and we will be finished with this Nearpod soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.